Oh, another beautiful day. Here's what our car lot looks like right now. Still pretty full. It was an insane Memorial Day weekend. People were coming in, buying up cars like crazy. Mainly EVs and hybrids. Those are number one because obviously gas prices being what they are, they're really driving people to go more towards like fuel conserving methods, hybrids and electric. That infrastructure just getting stronger with EVs is just really helping people get over that range fear from not using a gas station anymore. But that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Right now, I've got a little bit of a lull. I'm in between appointments, and I was just kind of trying to find a way of filling my middle time without just sending numerous amounts of emails. So come join me as we just talk about like hybrids and EVs and what the benefit is over gas, and why now might be a great time to seriously consider getting into one of these electrified cars. So the obvious like big negative there, it's like, or fear that people have is range anxiety, right? Range. I don't want to be anywhere. I don't want to be stranded. How can I ensure that I'm going to have a charge? What if I do road trips? What if I travel? That's still there, obviously. If you're not used to it, if you're not familiar with how to kind of plan your day around it or how to plan trips around charging, then you're going to freak out. You're going to have a problem. You're going to have an issue. If you try to run it to E or empty or 0% or near zero like you would a gas car, absolutely, you're going to have a lot of fear and anxiety when it comes to charging and where your next charge is going to come from. You kind of have to change that mindset, right? Hybrids are kind of a little bit the best of both worlds. You get better fuel efficiency, better because you have an electric motor that kicks in and helps you, but you're still able to use gas, consume gas, so you don't have to freak out and fear that's like my battery's gonna die on me. So that one always is a kind of like happy middle ground. But as far as making the jump to pure electric, it just takes one simple little change in mindset, and that is instead of running your car till it's almost empty, until you're almost dead, run your car until you are almost halfway, right? Halfway. And that's going to be the best thing for you to do. So if you're planning a trip, a lot of these cars, they come with like 300 miles range on them now. So if you're planning a trip that's 400 miles, well, maybe you just make 200 miles of that trip halfway, and then plan somewhere to stop, plan somewhere to sit and have food, go shopping, something that's going to take about half an hour. And you have these convenient chargers, these superchargers that are no longer degenerating battery, because that used to be the one drawback to them, is that they're expensive to use and they degenerate your battery because there's so much heat, and that it just burns your battery down. So your life of your battery starts to worsen over time the more you use a rapid charger. But that's a thing of the past. Tesla chargers and everywhere, they self-regulate now so that they don't overheat and they don't heat up your battery too hot. So there's no like degenerative life. So now it's basically just, it's for convenience, and it's much more expensive to use a supercharger than it is to just charge at a level 2 somewhere else. And they also fluctuate from off-peak to on-peak hours. So if you're trying to use a supercharger at 5 o'clock in the afternoon or the evening, well then and if that's your sole way of charging, you're basically gonna be like costing about the same as you would as gas. So there's gonna be no savings there if that's your sole strict method of charging. But that's kind of what I mean is like 400-mile road trip, which for me, I live in Northern Oregon, so if I wanted to visit family in Southern Oregon, that's about 450 miles. Well, that means I'm going to have to probably charge my battery up, plan a stop somewhere in Eugene, about halfway, and then just kind of make an event of it. Like, okay, well, let's stop at Olive Garden for about half an hour to an hour, right? Have lunch with the family and just put it on a level 2 charger or a rapid charger even. And that's going to get me more than enough to make my next destination, right, where I can find another charger. And if you're going to a really small town, well, then you just have to get into that mindset of like, hey, the destination I'm going is probably not going to have a level 3 or a level 2 charger. I'll still have my level 1 trickle charger I can plug in at wherever, the hotel or the apartment or the house that I'm staying at, the Airbnb. But Instead, you just have to say, well, what's the closest big city that I can make a stop in where I can get a large charge? That way I can then make it to wherever my destination is, do whatever driving I need to, and then leave to get back to that major city again. Once you get into that mindset, charging is not that big of a deal, right? You just have to, instead of saying we're going to grind it out, only hit gas stations and restrooms, and we're going to get there as fast as possible. You just have to make 1 or 2 extra stops just to say, no, we need to stop and get something to eat and plan a trip here. That's it. So that's for like long range driving with an EV. If you're just using it to commute to and from work, just around town, do your general shopping, then by all means, it's just a regular car. Charge it at home. Charge a lot of apartment complexes, fast food, or some places like fast food shopping centers, Fred Meyer's, Walmart's, Walgreens, Costco's. I mean, chargers are popping up everywhere now. So as far as infrastructure goes, EV is not going away. It's here to stay. Electric vehicles are going to stay, and they're going to get stronger, and they're going to get more charging points and more convenient. So now it's just going to become a point of like how close do you live in a city? How reliable is your grid, your power grid? It really, those are going to be the questions that define, do you drive an EV or do you not? It's not going to be, well, I can't find a charge and gas stations are everywhere. It's really just going to be that, hey, do you live in the city? Do you live in an apartment complex? Do you go shopping at Fred Meyer? Is there anywhere you know that you can charge? You know, how many road trips do you take to like remote key or like areas that you're way out in the middle of nowhere in the forest and stuff? But we're coming out with the Getaway's coming out in 2020. It's a 2027, so it'll come out this fall and this winter. And it's kind of like the Ascent electrified, right? It's our 7 to 8 passenger capacity electric vehicle. But I mean, again, 300 miles range. It's got all the range, it's got all the power, it's got all the quality of life features, it's got Wi-Fi, it's got everything. You want an RV, but you want one smaller than an actual RV, buy a Getaway, go camp, and then plug it into the RV plug-in. You can literally do that. So you just want to take the RV, fold the seats down, put a bed in the back. Now you can glamp in your electric Ascent, basically, as the Getaway. I mean, I hear people do that in the Solterra already. They just fold the seats down, put a small mattress back there, and then they go camping, and they can just plug it in to like the RV outlet, and then just have Wi-Fi, have power, have everything. Open up the rear hatch and have their cooking stove right there, and just glamp from their Solterra. So it's not outlandish, because then we have people who are in Outbacks who are literally like camping on the roofs of their cars. So yeah, even though it's electric, it's still a Subaru, and it's meant for people that want to go out there and do kind of anything with their car. It's literally capable of doing it all. But gas prices, those are the big things that are pushing people to come in and just check out EV, and they're making massive jumps. So instead of like someone saying, hey, dip my toes in the water, I want to test out hybrid, and so they test it out and they go, okay, I'm getting more comfortable, so they buy another hybrid, and then maybe they start testing out EVs. We're having people go, hey, I've been looking at hybrids, but with everything going the way it is and the prices the way they are, and maybe this war's not going to end anytime soon, just talk to me about EVs. And all they want us to do is reassure them, like, hey, here's how you look up chargers, here's how you kind of plan your day around, here's how you change your mindset. Instead of going like, oh, I'm almost on empty, let me go fill up. It's just, oh, you know, I'm about halfway charged, so I'm gonna have to plug it in somewhere before I make a big trip. And that's a lot of people. If you go and you work at like hospitals or anything like that, there's a parking garage. Any parking garage has at least 1 or 2 chargers, so people are just finding chargers everywhere. I said, look around your Fred Meyer, look around Walmart's, Costco's, Walgreens, Rite Aids. There's chargers. There's at least 1 or 2 parking spots. They might be off. They might be away from the handicap spots, which are right up front by the door. But there's chargers popping up everywhere. You just probably haven't noticed them. And then, of course, there's apps. So you have the Tesla app, you have ChargePoint USA, you have a bunch of them. Plug in Share, Plug to Ride, like there's apps. So if you just download 3 or 4 different apps, you kind of have all of the stations right at your fingertips, and you can plan your trip around that, and you can just plug your car in. So let me know what you think. Leave a comment, like and subscribe, do all that. Just tell me what you think. Like, do you drive an electric? When when did you first pick it up? How did you get over range anxiety? You know, what was that your number one drawback or fear, or that's what made you hesitant about buying electric in the first place? Or was it just like, hey, you know what, I don't like how they look? Because a lot of electrics are kind of space agey and futuristic. But yeah, just tell me what you think. Would you buy an electric? Would you buy a hybrid right now? Are you sticking with gas combustion? Do you think that electric and hybrids are just a fad and that they're going to die off? Let me know what you think. As I said, comment down below. I'll talk to you guys next time.